The Courage to be Disliked. Ikiro Kishimi and Fumite Koga. Introduction. The Courage to be Disliked by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumite Koga is not a typical self help book. It is written as a dialogue between a philosopher and a young man who is deeply unhappy and confused about life. Through their conversation, the book introduces the ideas of Alfred Adler, one of the three great psychologists of the 20th century, alongside Freud and Jung. Where Freud believed our past determines our future, Adler believed the opposite, that we are not controlled by our past, we are free to choose our own life right now. This book challenges many modern beliefs about happiness, success, relationships, and self worth. It teaches that the true freedom and happiness come from courage, the courage to live your own life without being controlled by fear of rejection, failure, or other people's opinions. The core idea: you are not determined by your past. The young man begins by complaining about how his past childhood trauma, failure, social background has ruined his life. The philosopher gently disagrees. He says people are not determined by their experiences but by the meanings they give those experiences. In other words, it is not the past itself that controls us but how we interpret it. Two people may face the same event. One becomes bitter, the other becomes wise. The difference is choice, not fate. Adlerian psychology says no experience is in itself a cause of success or failure. We ourselves decide how to interpret it. So, your past is not your prison. You can decide to live differently at any moment. Teleology versus casuality, the purpose behind behavior. Fruit psychology was casual, meaning it looked at the past to explain behavior. Adler psychology is teleological. It looks at the purpose or goal of behavior. Example: Freud would say you are angry because you were bullied as a child. Adler would say you are angry now because anger helps you by taking responsibility. This is a big shift. It means that your current behavior, even negative ones, always serves a purpose. When you understand that purpose, you can change it. So instead of asking what caused this, Adler asks for what purpose am I choosing this behavior. All problems are interpersonal problems according to Adler. Every problem in life is a problem of relationships with others or with yourself. If you feel lonely, inferior, jealous, or anxious, it's because of how you relate to others. When you compare, compete, or try to control others, suffering begins. For example, you feel inferior because you compare yourself to someone else's success. You feel lonely because you fear rejection and avoid genuine connection. You feel angry because you expect others to understand or praise you. The solution is not to change others but to change how you relate to them with equality and respect, not competition. The myth of inferiority. Adler observed that every human being feels a sense of inferiority, a feeling that we are lacking in some way. This is not bad. It motivates us to grow, but problems begin when inferiority turns into inferiority complex, the belief that I can't do anything because I'm not good enough. For example, I can't be happy because I'm not attractive. I can't succeed because my parents are poor. The philosopher says this is an excuse, a way of avoiding change instead of using inferiority as a reason to give up. We can use it as a reason to grow. He says it's not what you were born with, but how you use what you have. Even the most difficult situation can become a source of strength when used wisely. The courage to change. The philosopher explains that change is always possible, but people resist it because they are afraid. Why? Because changing means taking responsibility. If your life is miserable because of your past or society, then you are innocent. But if you can change, then it's your choice to remain miserable. Many people prefer to stay in suffering rather than face responsibility. So happiness requires courage, the courage to say my life is my own. I'm not a victim. I can choose differently now. The tasks of life. Adler divides human existence into three main tasks: work, career, contribution, friendship, social connection, love, intimacy, and compassion. When you add these tasks due to fear of failure, rejection, or vulnerability, we create problems. The philosopher says you are not living to satisfy other people's expectations. You are living to fulfill your own tasks. If you focus on your own tasks and respect others' freedom to do their relationships become healthier, life becomes simpler. Separation of tasks. This is one of the most practical and powerful ideas in the book. We must learn to separate our tasks from others' tasks. For example, studying is your task. How others judge your grades in their task is their task. Speaking honestly is your task. Whether others agree or not is their task. Most suffering comes from interfering in others' tasks, trying to control their feelings, opinions, or behavior. The philosopher says, whose task is this before reacting? Always ask that question. If it's not your task, then let it go. Freedom and peace come when you stop trying to control what is not yours to control. Freedom is being disliked. The title of the book, The Courage to Be Disliked, expresses its deepest message. True freedom means living according to your own values, even if others dislike you for it. Most people live their entire lives seeking approval, afraid of criticism, gossip, or rejection. But as the philosopher says, if you are living to be liked by everyone, you are not living your own life. You can never make everyone happy. Someone will always disapprove, so instead of asking, how can I be liked, ask, am I living honestly with myself? Freedom means giving up the need for constant validation. When you stop depending on others' opinions, you discover real happiness, self respect, and inner peace. Happiness is contribution. Adler in psychology defines happiness not as pleasure or achievement, but as feeling of contribution, the sense that you are useful to others and part of a community. When you live for comparison and competition, you isolate yourself. When you live for contribution, you feel connected and fulfilled. The philosopher says happiness is a feeling that you are contributing to someone else's life. It could be through work, kindness, love, or simply being present. You don't need fame or wealth, just the awareness that your life matters. The courage to be ordinary in today's world, everyone wants to be special, the best, the smartest, the most popular. But this desire creates endless competition and anxiety. The philosopher says, wanting to be special is another form of inferiority complex. Because if you always need to be above others, you can never be at peace. True freedom is the courage to be ordinary. True freedom is the courage to be ordinary, to accept that you are one among many and still valuable. You don't need to be extraordinary to be worthy of love and happiness. When you stop competing and start cooperating, you experience deep peace. Living in the present, the young man keeps worrying about past regrets and future fears. The philosopher says life is always lived in this moment. You cannot change the past, and the future doesn't exist yet. The only real life is the one you are living right now. So the question is not what happened or what will happen, but what am I choosing right now while living fully in the present? Not trapped by memory or fear, you gain freedom. Love and freedom. In love, many people try to control or possess others, thinking it's care, but real love is based on freedom and respect. Not ownership, the philosopher says to love someone is to see them as they are without trying to control them. And two people meet as equals, free yet connected. Love becomes pure. Love is not about dependency or sacrifice. It's about two whole people choosing to walk together. Community feeling. A key concept in Adler's philosophy is community feeling, a sense of belonging and contribution to the larger whole. And we realize that we are part of humanity, not separate from it. Our suffering softens, we start thinking not how can I win, but how can I help, the philosopher says. When you shift from self centered living to community centered living, you find true happiness. It doesn't mean you must serve everyone. It means you live with the awareness that your life touches others, the courage to be happy. Happiness itself requires courage because it means taking responsibility for your choice. So, as you can no longer blame society, parents, or destiny, you must accept that you are the author of your life story. A philosopher says you can be happy right now in this moment because happiness is a choice, not a result. It's not something you earn after success or love, it's something you practice by living honestly, contributing, and accepting yourself. The final lesson in the last dialogue, the young man finally understands. Freedom and happiness do not come from control, comparison, or approval. They come from courage, the courage to live your own truth. He realizes that to live freely, you must be willing to be disliked. To be truly kind, you must stop pleasing everyone. To be authentic, you must stop pretending. And to love others, you must first love yourself. Key teachings. You are not determined by your past, you can choose your life now. All problems are interpersonal problems. Focus on relationships, not isolation. Separate your tasks, don't interfere in what's not yours. Inferiority is not bad, it can drive growth. Freedom is being disliked, stop seeking approval. Happiness is contribution, not comparison. Courage to be ordinary, peace comes from acceptance. Live in the present, not the past or future. Love equals freedom, not control. Courage to be happy, take responsibility for your life.